in the same room as Chris Canty today. I'm in West Palm, Canty and Smalls in New York. Why do I say that? Not because I don't want to be near him during his birthday. The Virginia Cavaliers will have to bounce back from their 16-9 loss to Wake Forest like it never even happened. Brought to you by ServPro, the number one choice in cleanup and restoration. I do want to be clear, Cece. I don't believe ServPro's great partnership with us is game specific. I believe Nuno and company could pick any game they wanted in terms of a bounce back game. They could have literally picked the Bills, who we're talking about right now, need to bounce back like it never happened with their terrible loss to the Jets. To the Dolphins, they voluntarily picked your squad. Your thoughts on that?
Well, my initial thought is that you have agency in this, so you're complicit with Nuno and Pat Costello when you want to throw my team under the bus on my birthday. You don't even put context in the situation. Our starting quarterback got knocked out in the first half, and we were rolling with a backup transfer. You don't even want to bring that up.
That's right.
But you just want to twist the knife as my team gets knocked off this past weekend, and then all of a sudden our spot in the college football playoff and the ACC championship game is in doubt. I don't understand why you want to ruin my birthday by bringing that up, sir. That's on you. That's not on Nuno or Pat Costello. That's you.
Let me clarify one thing. It is a college football-based thing, so I could have done, or they could have done, BYU bouncing back after their loss to Texas Tech, 29-7 in the big game.
LSU.
LSU.
There's a lot of options. I'm just saying you could.
But that wasn't an upset.
But I'm just saying you could have used a lot of teams that had lost. You could just pick any team that lost.
I could have done Louisville after their loss to Cal in overtime.
You should have done Louisville. That was a hell of a game. Hell of a game.
Anyway, your squad does need to bounce back, and I'm sure they will. Brought to you by ServPro. Like it never happened, so you'll just eliminate that Wake Forest loss, at least in your mind. So you said about the Buffalo Bills losing this weekend to the Miami Dolphins, it was a fireable offense.
Correct.
Now, you also said you think they're going to make the playoffs, but you do not think the division is on the table for them, at least right now, that you think New England is going to win the division. Is that correct?
That is correct. But let's be clear about one thing. The bar to clear for the Buffalo Bills was never just making the playoffs. It's about getting Josh Allen to a Super Bowl and trying to win a Lombardi. And they don't seem any closer to that this year than they were last year. And I don't understand how that's even possible. You start to question whether or not this Bills team and their window has closed. You start wondering whether or not Sean McDermott's time in Buffalo has run its course. Baltimore Ravens, a nice win for them. But then you also had moments like what we got against the Atlanta Falcons on a Monday Night Football game. You also had moments like what we got yesterday with the Miami Dolphins. And to me, those are unexcusable. If you're Sean McDermott, you have no business losing. And so you have to wonder whether or not he's the guy that's going to get Josh Allen to a championship and give your organization a chance to win their first Super Bowl.
God.
Smalls, you said before the season there were a list of teams that you just did not care about their performance in the regular season because they are Super Bowl or bust or title game or bust type teams. Buffalo was one of those teams. And Nuno, our producer, pointed out, well, what about now? Does Buffalo's regular season matter? Have they lost themselves into their regular season mattering for you?
Yes, because normally I would say this is a terrible loss, I'm not panicking. But when the New England Patriots are running away with the division and they're looking as good as they do, and you look at their remaining schedule and how favorable it is, you have to start to panic if you're Buffalo. Because now you're not going to have the easiest path to the playoffs. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at the landscape of the AFC, and you're saying in a year where we should have remained atop of the division and had a clearer path to get where we ultimately want to go, which is the Super Bowl, we messed up. And now we're not going to win our division, and now the road looks stacked in a very difficult way against us as we try to do that. And there are vulnerabilities on this team that I would be concerned about if I'm Buffalo. So while I do think that a lot of teams that ultimately go on to win a Super Bowl have a bad loss in the regular season and that it might not necessarily be one standalone thing in this game that would sound the alarm, I think if you look at the picture in totality, it is concerning for Buffalo.
Well, and also, let's just be logical. Who do you guys think wins Thursday Night Football, Patriots and Jets?
The Patriots.
Okay, that puts them at 9-2. Who do you think wins between Buffalo and Tampa next week?
Tampa. I mean, it's a coin flip. Either one could win. That'll be a tough matchup. But
if that happens, you're looking at 9-2 first place, 6-4 second place, with the tiebreaker to the first place team. We're talking about definitely a wild card team, and record-wise, we're talking about them hovering around some of the other teams in the AFC that are between, that 5 and 7 range. It's wild to think because they get up for the big games, but obviously this game counts the same. But I can't get out of my head, CeCe, what you said about a fireable offense with Sean McDermott, that if they don't do what they're supposed to do this year, it's a moment like this that you think back to. And McDermott post-game had this to say about coming out flat against a team like Miami.
It's a week-to-week league. You got to bring your A game every week. We talk about that a lot. We really do. And we're better overall. It didn't happen.
A game every week. Is that needed to be said in an NFL locker room at this point with a team that good?
Well, I think he was just acknowledging what he preaches in that locker room, but it doesn't matter what he says. It matters what the team does in terms of their ability to respond, and they just haven't, at least not in a way that you thought they would. Now, the interesting thing about it, coming off of the trade deadline, the fact that the Buffalo Bills stood pat, that tells us that the general manager, Brandon Beane, thinks that this roster is good enough for this team to compete for a title. And the fact that you fell so far short of the mark after having the highest of highs this season and beating the Kansas City Chiefs is an indictment on the head coach. Sure, it's an indictment on the players that are involved, and the guys between the white lines are the ones that are ultimately, got to get it done. But if you're Sean McDermott, the fact that your team not only lost to the Miami Dolphins, but got boat raced by a team that is essentially given up, a team that fired their general manager, a team that has a head coach and the quarterback on the hot seat, the fact that you got embarrassed by them, the fact that this game wasn't competitive, that's a referendum on you, sir.
I said before the season I thought there was only one team in that conference that was truly Super Bowl or bust, and that's Buffalo, because I was the only team I could envision making a move at the two spots that we talk about the most, coach and quarterback. It sounds like you're in agreement with that now, right? Like this team has to get to a Super Bowl or else Sean McDermott's job could be on the line. Everybody around Buffalo is like, no, he's fine. He's fine. I don't know how he can. By the way, it's one of these things. I want to be clear. Just like we've talked about with John Harbaugh, just like we've talked about with Mike Tomlin, the day that they're not the coach of the team that they're currently the coach of, the next day they should be hired by someone else. This is not this guy can't coach. It's that this guy has had his opportunities with this team, and if they don't go to the Super Bowl, that's with Kansas City where they are as the 8th seed right now, that's a major failure by Buffalo.
But you always say, if you're going to fire a good coach, you better have a better one waiting in the wings, or you better have a solution. And if you're Buffalo, who's that person? Or do you have that option?
Yeah, well, my option would be if those other two guys get fired, Tomlin and Harbaugh. I mean, wouldn't that be the first option? Either one of them? I mean, I'm sorry, but CeCe saying what he said today, which is fireable offense, which I did not see coming, is stands out to me in a way that I think he's right. Because it's almost like they don't realize the Kansas City game and the Miami game count the same. There's no difference between the two. It may mean more, but not if Kansas City doesn't make the playoffs. Brutal loss yesterday for the Buffalo Bills. By the way, side note, is Mike McDaniel saving his job here?
Well,
No.
They're giving him an opportunity to.
No.
That's a big-time win.
That's a good win, but it's just that. Mike McDaniel is not saving his job.
Whoever the new GM is going to want to have his guy in there.
Yeah, exactly. This is more about the Buffalo Bills than it is about anything that the Miami Dolphins got going on.
We're unsportsmanlike. Presented by Insurance.